Hey guys, welcome in. It's Brad with College SportsCast, and we are here to finish up week 3 and do our weekend wrap-up show.
We executed.
I heard a fan offer free Dippin' Dots if I blew it.
Wanted to have some fun, execute.
I had bombs.
Stay as a team, execute, give 100%.
Dippin' Dots sound good.
Well, I guess we lost Brad here, so this is John Roberts of College SportsCast, presented by, let me go over here, the Fanboys. Yes. I am going to be filling in until Brad figures out a way to get back on here, and I like to keep my hats and my glasses on when talking to you because I apparently just don't respect you. Thank you. Well, we had a really, really interesting weekend here. We had, oh, look, there's Brad. He figured out how to get back on.
Yeah, it kicked me off. Imagine that.
What are we going to talk about?
Did it show the video or no?
It did. And then when I came back, it was just me.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't even know if it did that or not. So
yeah. Well, I just told everybody that I'm wearing a hat and sunglasses because I don't respect them. So,
well, I got the hat, but I don't have the sunglasses.
Yeah, I refuse to take it all off to show respect. I'm sorry.
All right, I got you. I got the hat. I just don't have the sunglasses. So
again,
but yeah. All right. Well, we are College SportsCast. We're here to do our weekend wrap-up show. This is week 3, finishing up week 3 in college football season, and we have quite a bit to talk about. I mean, after 3 weeks here. So, again, we're College SportsCast. We are presented by the Fanboys. We are featured on Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, the Real Fresh channel on Sundays, and also we are on WSBN TV. Now, WSBN TV we are on channel 30. All you got to do is go to your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV and download the SportsCast app. Once you are on the SportsCast app, then you can look up World Sports Broadcasting Network, find them, and then you can find College SportsCast on channel 30 in the comfort of your own home, on your Roku, mobile, Apple, or TV, or Fire TV. So that's how you can get this. And we appreciate you guys following along with us. And we will kind of dig into week 3 now. So we will start out with the brand new AP poll. Until the college football playoff polls start up and towards the end of October. Each week we will bring you the new AP poll, and it comes out about around 1 o'clock Central Time. I think it's what it's been doing on Sundays. So it comes out a couple hours before we hit the airwaves here. So it's fresh and brand new. So the new poll has just come out. I'll start it out. The top 10, it looks like this. You got Georgia number 1 with 57 first place votes. Michigan number 2 with 2 first place votes. Texas went to 3 with 3 first place votes. Florida State fell to 4. They swapped. with one first place vote. Then you got USC, number 5, Ohio State 6, Penn State is 7, Washington is 8, Notre Dame is 9, and Oregon is 10. Now, I've got
What's
John
one team
Roberts
that you
here.
did? What's one team you didn't say? What's one team you didn't say?
We'll get to that. Alabama, yeah, I think that's what you're
What's
getting at.
the historical significance of that?
So Alabama fell out of the top 10 this week. They were 10 last week. It was the 128th consecutive week of Alabama being inside the AP top 10. And today, a couple hours ago, they fell out of the top 10 and fell, I think, 9 weeks short of the record. The record was Miami, and it was 137, and Alabama is now second with the record being 128. So that's the significance out of the top 10. John, do you want to give the rest of the top 25?
Hold on just a second.
I mean, I've got it if you want me to go ahead and run it down.
Number 11 is Utah.
Yep.
Number 12 is LSU. Number 13 is Alabama.
Yep.
14 is Oregon State. 15 is Ole Miss. So we're about to have a nice top 15 little battle down in Tuscaloosa. I think it's in Tuscaloosa. Is it in Tuscaloosa? I don't remember what they're playing. I'll
have to look.
Anyway, Ole Miss plays Bama this week. Number 16 is Oklahoma. 17 is North Carolina. 18 is Duke. 19 Colorado. 20 Miami. 21 is Washington State. 22 UCLA. 23 Tennessee. 24 Iowa. 25 Florida.
All right, I'm going to start with this. I have a problem with Florida being 25. I know they beat Tennessee yesterday, but we're just 3 weeks into the season, and their record is 2-1, not 3-0. They've already lost a game. Yes, it was Utah. Yes, they're in the top. They were top 15 at the time. Now they're 11th. I get that, but being where they were outside the top 10 or outside the top 25 and already having a loss, in my opinion, that number 25, if you were going to give it to an SEC team, that should have been Missouri after their big win over Kansas State yesterday, who's also top 15, and Missouri's 3-0. And Florida is 2-1. Florida only gets that in name recognition only. And I just don't agree with it.
It's also based on where Tennessee was last time, as far as where they were ranked before they got beat.
Well, but Kansas State's like 15.
Okay.
And Tennessee was like 11 or something, 12.
Okay. So.
And Florida has a loss. And Missouri is 3-0.
Alabama's got a loss, and they're ranked 13th.
Alabama started 3 or whatever.
Who else has a loss? There's got to be somebody else has a loss, right?
They have failed. You don't get to rise and have a loss 3 games into the season. I just don't agree with that.
I'm pretty certain that you can rise as long as you're not rising on the week of your loss.
I just don't agree with that 3 weeks in. Missouri is 3-0 and have beaten a top 15 team.
Yeah.
Florida is 2-1 and has beaten a top 15 team. So you tell me, out of those two, which one deserves the 25 spot in the top 25 poll?
Neither.
It sure ain't Florida. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not Florida. However, that's just one beef I had with the poll. I will say this. There are 8 Pac-12 teams and 6 SEC teams in this poll. So 14 of the 25 teams in this poll are either Pac-12 or SEC.
So here's my question. I got a question for you. Florida is ranked, right? Because they beat Tennessee. Why aren't they ranked ahead of Tennessee?
That's an odd situation as well, but I would have kept Tennessee in the poll, and I wouldn't have had Florida in my poll.
Oh,
So,
brother.
I mean, I actually think Kansas State should have probably stayed in the poll, and they didn't. They fell out.
Yeah, well, look, all these teams have the potential to earn their spots back in, or to climb, or to fall, however you want to say it, throughout the rest of this season. So at this point in the season, at week 3, I really don't care.
Well, I mean, I just feel like that the media gives certain teams a little extra buzz about things.
Yeah.
And then they don't give other teams the correct amount of attention that they deserve sometimes. And I feel like this is one of those cases.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what this is, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't agree with Florida being there at all. I would have kept Tennessee in my poll, and I would have kept Kansas State in my poll as well.
Yeah. You said K-State and who?
Tennessee, that both lost yesterday. They were high enough. They should have stayed in the poll.
Well, yeah.
They were
So
both high enough that they should have stayed in the poll, in my opinion.
sure.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, basically. All right, so let's move on. We talked about the poll. I don't think there's anything else that you want to talk about as far as the poll goes, but I did want to bring up those few things about the Pac-12 SEC having 14 teams out of the top 25 so far. But let's go to the scoreboard, college football scoreboard from yesterday as well. So,
All right.
kind of get to some of that, and talk about some of the scores over the weekend. This isn't just yesterday, but so the first games of the week started on Thursday. Miami beat the fire out of Bethune-Cookman 48-7. Memphis actually come back and beat Navy late in that game, 28-24, and these were Thursday games. And then Friday, Maryland beat the fire out of Virginia 42-14, and Army had a very nice win over UTSA at UTSA 37-29, and Air Force had a win at home over Utah State 39-21. Those were on Friday. So then Saturday games, I'll kind of run through a few of them. I'll talk about the top 25 scores, and then, John, I'll kind of let you take over and do some of the others. But the top 25, you had Georgia 24, South Carolina 14. This was a very, very tight and slow game. South Carolina actually led a lot of this game. So I'll start out with that one. Did you get to watch any of this game, John?
Yes, I was watching some of it. I had it, and I'm trying to think of all the games that were going on at the same time. The South Carolina Georgia game, the Bama game, and the Tennessee game. No, Tennessee was later. So the Bama game and the
Bama game was on, I think.
Yeah, and the South Carolina Georgia game were on at the same time. So I was kind of splitting my viewing between the two of those. But I mean, I had both of those going on at the same time, and then there was a few others that I was checking out.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, they were down as late as the second quarter. I know they might have still been down in the third, were they?
Georgia took the lead.
I want to say it was in the third, but
probably in the third, yeah, because they were up at half because it was like 14-0 or 14-3 or something like that at half.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But Georgia shut them down in the second half, and put up enough points, beat them 24-14. Number 2, Michigan beat Bowling Green 31-6. Florida State had a almost nightmare of a game, second half anyway, 31-29 over Boston College. Did you catch any of that game? It ended like crazy.
So I was watching it. It was 31-10. I fell asleep. I woke back up. It was 31-20. Something.
It was 31-22 there late.
Yeah, 31-22, and then they scored a touchdown at 31-29.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did catch some of that, and it was again one of those where it was.
I mean, did Florida State take their players out or what?
I think there were some turnovers. I know that in the I want to say there was turnovers in that game that caused part of that.
I didn't watch, but I was keeping an eye on the score, and I thought, well, that's they're going to run them out, and then all of a sudden I looked and it was 31-22, and they had the ball, and I was like, what? So Texas wound up beating Wyoming yesterday 31-10, but Wyoming stayed in this game for a long time. Matter of fact, they were ahead 10-7 at one time in this game, and Texas again, like I said with Georgia, shut them down the second half and pulled away and won 31-10. Ohio State killed Western Kentucky University yesterday, which 63-10. They finally opened up and ran quite a bit of offense, and Western has a very good offense, and I was surprised that they held Western to 10, to be honest with you. I thought Western would get at least 3 touchdowns on them. I really did, the way they had kind of been playing. I didn't think Western would win, of course, but I really was surprised that Western only managed 10 points against them. Penn State beat Illinois 30-13. Washington come out and first half and was killing Michigan State after their very bad week last week. They didn't do much the second half. They took a bunch of players out, if I'm not mistaken, and beat them 41-7. Notre Dame beat Central Michigan 41-17, and Alabama pulled it out 17-3 versus South Florida yesterday. It's the lowest points that Alabama scored versus a non-conference opponent since 2014. 17 points.
Yeah, what happened there?
Well, so I know you were watching it. I know you were watching it. So Alabama played 3 different quarterbacks in this game. It was like they were trying to use this because South Florida is really not that good, and they should have killed South Florida. I mean, to be honest. Hold
on. You said they played 3 different quarterbacks in this game?
They did, right?
Then let's see. Jalen Miller does not have any stats.
Did Milroe not play at all?
I don't recall him ever getting in. I only recall Buckner and Simpson.
I thought Milroe come in like in between for a few plays, but maybe he didn't.
Okay, well, if he did, he only handed the ball off because he did not run, nor did he make a pass attempt because he is not in the box score. at
Well,
all.
maybe he didn't come in. I thought I heard the announcer say that he had come in for a few plays.
Well, if
Maybe
he
he
came
didn't.
in for a few plays, then I missed it completely. But at the same time, like it was just
Well, they
I
started
know
out
that
with
for the most
Buckner,
part
and
it
they
was
ended with Ty Simpson.
correct.
Yeah, and they ended with Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
And they started out with Buckner. Buckner didn't look good at all yesterday. I'm just going to
Nope.
be honest with you. He didn't look good at all. Like, not at all. The Alabama offensive line, I'm at a loss as of right now. Like, I don't even, like, they look awful. The offensive line does. They put Ty Simpson in, and Ty Simpson's the one that drove them down the field and scored a couple of touchdowns. Now, he didn't throw any touchdown passes or nothing, but he was operating the offense when they finally drove down and scored a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
But even he was getting killed. Like, I saw, and we're talking South Florida here. I mean, yes, they have a defensive end that has some talent, will probably be in the NFL. Okay. I'm not going to say that, that they're like completely defunct of any talent. They have a defensive end that's good. Okay. But with that said, this Alabama offensive line has looked like trash. And I hate to say that when you talk about Alabama, but they have looked terrible.
When you got guys that are 350 pounds and you can't get push, and seems to be pretty bad during pass pro, that is, I don't know, man. It's horrible whatever's going on, and I don't know like exactly how to fix it or anything like that. I'll just go defer to those that have played the position. But yeah, it's bad when you've got the beef that they've got on the offensive line that they just are absolutely getting pushed around and just doesn't look good at all. Right there on the offensive line. So, that is a strange thing right
and they
now.
can't
So
pass
I have
block
no
either. They are getting pushed around, and they can't pass block either.
That's exactly what I was saying right there when I said pass pro was bad.
I know.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I don't know what is going on there. So I'm going to tell you this. And for the first time in my life, yesterday, well, maybe not the first time in my life, but for the first time in the Saban era, okay, I was watching Alabama play yesterday. And in my brain, I thought, this team looks beatable.
Yes. And they've already been beaten once, but this team looks like they could have multiple losses.
Fan, Kentucky plays them.
Multiple.
I know. I'm a Kentucky fan, and Kentucky plays them. And I wasn't talking about this team looks beatable from like Georgia beating them or LSU beating them. I wasn't talking about that. I was in the mindset looking and watching this game and thinking, you know what? Later in the year, unless they improve an awful lot, this team looks beatable.
A&M could beat them.
They play Ole Miss this week. We'll see. I mean, honestly,
man, this is going to be fun. This season's going to be fun. Yep. Well, this week's games, this slate of games that are coming up this week is actually like, oh my God, really it's really good it's really because good. You're going to have, we're going to have a quite the treat on Saturday for college football. That is going to be,
awesome.
Absolutely.
We will. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. There's a lot of good games.
So we'll may actually have some good games on Thursday. Like we have a good game on, I wouldn't say like a great game, but it's a still watchable game on Thursday, and a couple games, a couple ACC and Big Ten games on Friday. So that's a plus. And then And then we start out at 11 with really good games.
Yep. So to finish up the top 25, let's get to Florida, Tennessee, because Tennessee was 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, that was a complete shocker to me. Like I wasn't expecting that. I know it was in the swamp. I know that Tennessee hasn't won there since 2003, by the way. And they play every year, every other year in the swamp. So, just so y'all know.
So as a fan as a fan of a team that has had a long drought in playing in a particular location, and it be very notable, I feel like this one is more mental than it is anything else, and it's just the mentality. Like the players know that they haven't won since 2003 in that stadium.
Was you surprised by that game?
Well, I mean, like, here's the deal. Like, it's kind of like when Florida was playing Kentucky for the longest time. Doesn't matter how good Kentucky was, just go ahead and chalk it up, or how bad Florida was, go ahead and chalk it up that Kentucky is going to lose to Florida until they finally broke it, and actually had a couple games in a row that they beat Florida. But
yeah,
I would say that, you can look at this Tennessee series and just say, okay, every year bet Florida when it's in the swamp until that game happens where Tennessee wins down there. And
I mean, I agree.
Auburn had this streak going with LSU. Bo Nix went down there and had the weirdest game of his life and won that game. So now Auburn's longest streak, losing streak on the road is at, I believe it is at Georgia. They haven't won since 2005. So, and Bama, it's been since Cam Newton in 2010. But yeah. But right now it's Georgia in 2005. But the Georgia game for Auburn this year is at home, so that don't have to worry about that one. But
right.
But anyway, yes, I understand the streak, because there have been times when Auburn's had better teams.
I understand those
Auburn's
streaks.
had better teams going into either of these stadiums and have just figured out some way to, throw up all over themselves. And so I just think that that's the same thing that's happening.
Florida's got two good backs. They do have two good running backs, and they just ran the ball down Tennessee's throat yesterday.
Hey, make them stop it. Make them stop it.
That's what they did.
They can't stop it. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they did. So you had Utah beating Weber State 31-7. Oregon beat Hawaii 55-10. LSU was very impressive yesterday, beating Mississippi State 41-14. Daniels played an absolute superb game yesterday. Missouri beat number 15 Kansas State with a 61-yard field goal.
Walk off from the thicker kicker.
Yeah,
walk off from the thicker kicker.
Impressive. 30-27 over Kansas State. San Diego was beat 26-9 by Oregon State. Ole Miss 48, Georgia Tech 23. Colorado, let's stop at this one. Colorado come back in overtime last night and beat Colorado State 43-35. Colorado State led most of this game. Probably should have been able to finish this off and win this game, but Colorado did come back and did get the victory. Travis Hunter got hurt on a late hit. There's been a lot of crying about it. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Well,
here's my take. It's football, okay? And sometimes when you have two teams that are running miles back and forth and they're rivalries, and there was a fight on the field an hour before the game. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So it was heated. It was a heated battle. And it's football. And, a second late hit on a play coming over the middle like that.
Oh, that guy wasn't stopping. That guy wasn't going to stop. He wasn't going to stop. You know it. You know that guy's whole intention was to hit the guy, whether he had the ball or didn't. You know that. You could see
but
it in
it's
his eyes when
football.
he's running at
Yesterday,
him.
last
No, it's
night,
not. No,
last,
no.
last night,
That one is not. That
last
one's
night, Devin
not.
Leary took a late hit
Okay, here we go.
on a throw.
Here's a great. Hey, I can talk now. Good, awesome. We want to talk about rivalry games. Here's a great rivalry. Here's where you can look at it. Okay, Auburn plays Alabama every year, and that is a heated rivalry. But there are rarely incidences where you have personal foul penalties, as many as there were in that game, and there are rarely do you have just a massive penalty game. So you can play under control in a rivalry game, no matter how much you hate the other team. Okay, so in this instance, that guy, when you're watching that play, that guy put his head down and was running after that. He went around his own guy to deliver the hit. Okay, the guy that was covering Travis Hunter wasn't like had zero intention on doing anything to hurt the guy or whatever like that. He was defending the play, but then all of a sudden, this guy, the safety or linebacker or whoever it was that came out of nowhere, was dead set on hitting Travis Hunter. Okay, he was dead set on making that hit.
But it's football.
There's nothing that you can convince.
Sometimes you have statements like that.
You can't do that. You can't do that. That is no. You go.
I guess it's soft. That's soft play, man. I just feel like that's soft. The whole world's gotten soft. I mean, you're talking about a football play and a split-second difference.
Talking about a football play where that you knew that you could read it when you're running up on it that the guy's not going to catch the ball, so you don't have to deliver the hit. He can see the arch of the ball at the same time as he could see the player. He knows that that ball is not getting caught. You can't tell me that he didn't know that that ball wasn't getting caught. He was delivering the hit no matter what.
Well, of course, he's a football player. He come across there to deliver a hit.
Player. No, bull.
He come across there to deliver a hit. What do you think he's going to do? Go over and shake his hand?
Doesn't have to shake his hand. He just doesn't have to hit him like that. He doesn't have to. He could have easily veered out of the way, because here's the deal. Again, he could see the arch of the ball when he is coming in at the angle that he's coming in, and therefore he could have easily have slowed up.
Coordinator, and I've got a safety that's coming across. I want him to come across to deliver a hit. That's what I want him to do.
And every time there will be a penalty against him, and that'll be 15 yards, and you could lose the game because of that. And if you want to do that, fine. Who cares? But that was bull crap making that hit. My
point is, you were saying he come across to deliver a hit. Of course he did. That's why he come across.
Yeah, but he could see, and he could have easily have averted and not delivered the hit. That is my point.
It was a second later. It's a split second later.
He can see it, so he doesn't have to make the hit. It's pretty simple. He can see the arch of the ball where he is running. He had the angle to see that Hunter was not going to catch it. It's pretty simple. When I'm running the bases playing baseball, I can tell when a ball is going to land or whether somebody's going to catch it, to whether I can drop my head and run or stop and have to go back and tag up. It's the same thing. He could have seen the flight of the ball and noticed that Hunter ain't catching it. And at that moment, he could have easily, he had a decision. He had a decision to make, and he chose to go and hit the guy regardless. That is what happened.
Okay, you have your take, and I have mine. Like I don't think people should cry about it. I really don't.
Well, I don't think that you should have unnecessary hits, man. I mean, that was with intent to hurt. Intent to absolutely hurt. Send them to the hospital.
Do you remember watching football in the 80s?
Yes, and I also remember that people have gotten CTE and committed suicide because of it. By the way, this is Suicide Awareness Month. So I'm just saying, I am too.
I mean, it's football.
It is. But there are ways to play.
He
There are
didn't hit him
ways.
head high.
There are ways to play it without absolutely
I remember in the
destroying
'80s
the
when they
other
come
guy.
across there and would hit him they would hit him head
Yeah,
high.
I also remember that there were lots
That's
of
not what he
injuries
did.
that were. Yeah, that is exactly what it is. They have made the
That's
game.
not what he did. He didn't come head high. He didn't go head high to Travis
No,
Hunt
but he
last
went
night.
with intent to hurt.
I'm just saying that's
I am
not what
too.
he did last night.
I am. That is exactly what he did. He went with intent to hurt. Doesn't matter where he hit him. Intent to hurt.
It's football. You're supposed to hit people.
You're
And he
not
used his
supposed to
shoulder.
intend to hurt. Remember,
And
listen
he
to what
used
I'm
his
saying.
shoulder.
Listen to what I'm saying. Blindside shot. You can have a blindside shot. The reason why they take the blindside shots out of the game isn't necessarily because you're hitting them in the head. You could be hitting them in the shoulder. It's the whole intent on that. They took that out of the game. That was a blindside shot.
I don't like the whole intent thing. You don't know. I mean, that's completely. You have no idea. That is complete crap. Your intent and my intent is going to be two different things.
My intent's to shove him out of bounds. He's right there on the sideline.
The intent, the same play, two people can look at it, and your thought of the intent and my thought of the intent is going to be two total different things.
I'm just saying he could see the flight of the ball and know whether that ball was going to be caught or not.
I mean, like I said, we agree to disagree because I don't think it's a play that people should be whining and crying about. I just don't. It was a flag. It was an illegal play. It was a late hit. It was a flag.
That's right. It was properly thrown.
It was definitely a flag.
Properly thrown. Yes.
Oklahoma was 16 or was 19. Sorry, this week. They 16 this week. And they demolished Tulsa 66-17. I think they have looked pretty impressive offensively so far. North Carolina beat Minnesota 31-13. Duke beat Northwestern 38-14. Washington State beats Northern Colorado 64-21. UCLA 59-7 over North Carolina Central. Iowa scored 41 points yesterday in one football game. Actually.
Oh my God. They went over their budget of 25 points.
They scored 41 points yesterday in one football game. I don't think they scored 41 points in 4 games last year to start the season.
Oh
and beat Western Michigan 41-10.
They went way over budget there.
Yep.
There's going to be a few games where they score 0 now because that's the
top 25 on the scoreboard. And John, if you want to run through some scores outside of the top 25, you can run through some of those.
Let me go through a few of these. Hold on. I'm actually on the wrong week. I was looking at next week's stuff. Let's go through. Liberty beat Buffalo 55-27. Louisville beat Indiana 21-14. Wisconsin beat Georgia Southern 35-14. Wake Forest over Old Dominion 27-24. Baylor bounces back with a win over Long Island 30-7. Ohio beats Iowa State 10-7. Kent State over Central Connecticut 38-10. Boise beats North Dakota 42-18. Utah takes care of Weber State. We've already talked about that one. Let's go. NC State beats VMI 45-7. UMass drops another one to Eastern Michigan 19-17. Temple takes out Norfolk State 41-9. Ball State beats Indiana State 45-7. Let's keep going. Trying to find Rutgers takes care of Vatech 35-16. FIU beats UConn 24-17. Appalachia State takes care of Eastern Carolina 43-28. Texas A&M with a resounding victory of 47-3 over La Monroe. Cal beats Idaho 31-17. Tulane takes care of Southern Miss 21-3.
This Georgia State team must be pretty good.
Georgia State takes care of Charlotte 41-25. UCF takes care of Villanova 48-14. Auburn beats Samford 45-13. North Texas beats La Tech 40-37. Middle Tennessee takes care of Murray State 35-14. Nebraska beats Northern Illinois, who did Northern Illinois beat? Boston College? Is that the team that they beat?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So Nebraska beats Northern Illinois 35-11. That's a weird score.
Yeah.
UNLV takes care of Vanderbilt 40-37.
That was a late field goal too, by the way.
Yeah. Miami of Ohio beats Cincinnati 31-24.
Cincinnati's
What
had
happened
two
there?
pretty good weeks. I don't know. I don't know.
What happened?
I
You were talking
really
them
don't
up,
know.
and then they lost to the other Miami.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened.
Weird.
Yeah.
This next score is
This
actually
next
kind of
score-
funny.
This next score is really, really wild. The Cincinnati one's like a head scratcher, but this one's wild.
This one is wild.
Yeah.
South Alabama beats Oklahoma State 33-7. Not just they came back and won. No, it was a
Like that's an ass whooping. Yeah. Yeah, that's an ass whooping. And I'm pretty sure it was at Oklahoma State.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how does that happen? I don't know.
Well, I know how that happened. Because they looked across the sidelines and saw USA, and they were like, "No."
I don't know. Like, I know they don't have their quarterback. He's sitting on the sidelines of Ole Miss, but
Well, how much of a difference would he have made?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Texas Tech beats Tarleton State 41-3. Louisiana Raging Cajuns beat UAB 41-21. SMU blanks Prairie View 69-0. Rice beats Texas Southern 59-7. Coastal Carolina beats Duquesne 66-7. Arkansas State beats Stony Brook 31-7.
Butch won again.
James Madison beats Troy 16-14.
I didn't like that one. Yeah.
Toledo beats San Jose State 21-17. BYU beats Arkansas 38-31. Kentucky takes care of Akron 35-3. Syracuse beats Purdue 35-20. In the backyard brawl, it was West Virginia beating Pitt 17-6.
Brown wants to save his job.
Yeah. Let's see. New Mexico State beats New Mexico 27-17. Sacramento State beats Stanford 30-23. Awesome.
Wow.
Clemson takes care of FAU 48-14. This is weird. The fact that I just read a Clemson score for those that are not ranked, that was weird.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not
TCU takes care of Houston 36-13.
Yep.
Texas State beats Jackson State. And I know that Jackson State is, not the same size as Texas State, but that was 77-34. There's over 100 points scored in that game.
Yeah. 110, over 111 points.
There's 111 that were scored in that game. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Fresno State
blanks Arizona State 29-0.
So Arizona State finished that game with their fourth string quarterback.
Well, that's weird.
Their fourth string. They started.
I think Alabama should probably do that. I bet they would win a game or two.
They started the game with Rashada out. So they started with their second guy. He got hurt. They put in their third guy. He got hurt and had to finish the game with their fourth string quarterback in that game, by the way. Yeah. Kansas beat Nevada 31-24, and Arizona beat UTEP 31-10. And that's the rundown of the entire college football scoreboard from this weekend, week 3 in college football. All right. John, I want to ask you about SEC struggles. What is your take on what is going on in the SEC? And I want to start out by saying this. Week 3, there are 5 undefeated SEC teams left.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia,
Kentucky,
Missouri in the East.
Yes.
In the West, it's Ole Miss and Auburn.
Okay.
That's the 5 undefeated teams in just 3 weeks of the season. So what's your take on what's going on with the struggles of the SEC so far? The non-conference.
Yeah.
The best non-conference win was probably Missouri yesterday.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I would say about the SEC struggles is that they've scheduled really well in their non-conference. I believe that teams like Virginia and Cal are just dominant teams, and that they have these teams. The SEC was able to take down. I mean, we've had some other very, very hard games, like Texas being the number 3 team in the country, so losing to those teams is very respectable. It's the number 3 team in the country. FSU, number 4, right? Isn't that right? FSU, yep, number 4. So these are teams that are respectable teams and then the number 11 team, Utah. So it's a tough schedule, man. Oh, I'm just kidding, man. This is terrible. The SEC's on fire.
I don't know, man. I'm going to tell you right now. So, most of the time, I would say 3 weeks into the season, there's probably still 9, 10, 11 teams that's undefeated 3 weeks into a season.
Usually, or you've had a team, get beat because they've already played a conference game at that point. So, like, you would have, like, say, like, South Carolina,
Mississippi State played,
South Carolina, Mississippi State. Those would be 2 teams that would have played, played a conference game. You've also had, Georgia and Tennessee, Florida and Tennessee. So those would have been those would have been your losses.
South Carolina yesterday,
Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, and LSU, Mississippi State on week 3, and you would expect that those be your 3 losses. You may have had at least 1 or 2, bigger games where you've had non-conference, like a Bama and Texas, and or an LSU, FSU, and that those would be games that the SEC would beat, would win, and so you'd be sitting with maybe 10 teams, 11 teams with undefeated records, but not having truly played massive competition. Maybe, like I said, maybe a couple of games where you had those like those week 1 kickoff games, or maybe you've moved that week 1
you
kickoff
might lose
game
1 or 2, maybe here and there,
right? But when you have teams going down like Vanderbilt to Wake Forest and UNLV, they're not really helping us out here. You've got
South
Bama
Carolina's
going down.
lost twice.
Yeah, Bama's gone down to Texas. You've got South Carolina going down to North Carolina.
And now Georgia.
And now, but the Georgia one again that we're talking in conference. We were trying to explain is mainly your out of conference losses, and Ole Miss was able to take care of business with Tulane last week, which was a top 25 matchup at that point.
That was a good win.
and that was a good win. And Mizzou surprisingly takes care of K-State this week with a long field goal, 61 yards from the thicker kicker who couldn't hit the broadside of the barn against Auburn last year, which was kind of funny, but at the same time, also very sad.
Yeah, I mean, so the SEC, like I said, there's only 5 undefeated teams left after 3 weeks of the season.
If you really think about it, last year you had Florida barely beat Utah and Alabama barely beat Texas, and we weren't really truly talking about this last year because LSU still lost to FSU, but we weren't really truly talking about this. But then this year, those 2 teams, Florida and Bama, lost to the teams that they barely beat last year when those games were, I guess they were on the, well, Bama was on the road and Florida was at home. And then those 2, flipped and they lost those 2 games. So that's, again, just something to really think about. I mean, they were we could have had this conversation. We could have easily had this conversation last year.
But where do you think the SEC goes from here after week 3? I mean, do you think that the SEC is truly that far down? Do we continue to see this
I think
stuff happening?
What you'll start seeing,
the SEC will pick it up and become more like what the SEC is being.
I don't think the SEC is going to be the way that we think, the way that we think in the back of our minds this year. I just don't think that it's going to happen. You don't have a truly dominant team. Even Georgia doesn't look like they're dominant. They're still going to win games, and I think they're going to win games, and they're just not going to absolutely blow anybody out. I think that those games are all going to be low-scoring games that they're just going to win. They're just going to do what it takes to win the game, and everybody's going to think that they're going to walk in and have a shot at beating Georgia, and they're just not. But outside of that, I mean, Bama looks like they could have 3-4 losses, Tennessee's on their way down to having probably a few more losses. LSU could be that dominant team in the West. Who knows? Don't know.
Ole Miss has looked pretty good. Actually, if I had to pick outside of Georgia, just giving them credit for what they've done the last 2 years, but if I had to pick the best looking team so far in the SEC, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't pick Ole Miss.
Maybe. Again, I think I really want to see more. I know that they beat a decent Tulane team in New Orleans, and I do think that even though Bama's not the same Bama, I do think that they could we could have more of a better litmus test against what Ole Miss is
this week coming up.
Yeah, this week coming up when you have Ole Miss playing against Bama. I just think that would be a game that could really either submit them, and it is in Tuscaloosa. So that game is at Tuscaloosa. So that one will be a difficult game for them because they will be on the road in Bryant-Denny.
And they're coming off of a loss in Tuscaloosa. No,
they're not coming off of a loss. They're coming off of a game that was almost like a loss in South Florida, So
yeah.
I mean, this is just one of those. I mean, they have got to figure out quarterback. They've been living with a playmaker quarterback. They went so long with having a
since what
a game manager as a quarterback, and then all of a sudden they changed styles to having more of a playmaker type quarterback, one that could be both running and passing, and one that could kind of make some just really elite passing with having Tua and having. I mean, even Jalen was more of that runner who could throw.
But he was a good quarterback.
He was. I think he got better coaching when he got to Oklahoma. But but as far as being a quarterback, you had Bryce and you had Tua, and those were 2 playmakers. Before that, you had the guy that had transferred in from from Florida State, the guy that was Jameis Winston's backup. That guy was very much a game manager, but he was a guy that was a hard-nosed type quarterback. He could play, but he was a good college quarterback. Obviously, he's not playing anywhere in the NFL right now. But
I said last week that I was surprised that Ty Simpson wasn't going to be the guy. And after
are you surprised now? Are you surprised now?
And after watching yesterday, Ty Simpson looks way better than this Buckner kid from Notre Dame.
But does he look way better enough to be like the guy? Does he look like the guy, or is Buckner so far down that you have a guy that looks good, but he's really not that great?
I don't know. It all depends on what Alabama wants to do. If you want to have a guy in there that can, drop down and give you 10, 15, 20, a break off a 30-yard run, Jalen Milroe's the guy. If Alabama wants a guy who can drop back and pass the ball and get it down the field, I think Ty Simpson's the guy.
Honestly, here's the deal. If you can't pass block, then they need to put Jalen in there, because that's going to be, this is true. Just let him create, because if you could truly play murder ball like they really wanted to, then you could have a Buckner or a Ty Simpson in there and it be okay. But because they cannot actually do murder ball the way that they want, then I think they have to have a guy that can create with his legs, which is Jalen Milroe. He's going to give them the best chance to win.
If their offensive line is going to continue to look as terrible as it has looked the last 3 weeks, then I will give you that. The answer probably is Jalen Milroe, because he can make people miss, and he can step up in the pocket, and he can run.
And I think there's one other quarterback that's in there. There's a fourth guy that's been.
And he's capable of keeping his eyes down the field and doing a throw down the field when he takes off to run too, before he crosses.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. They got to pick somebody and do it quick, because SEC play is starting now, and they've already got one loss.
Yeah, because Tyler Buckner, 5 for 14, 34 yards is not going to cut it with a QBR of 15.2.
He's terrible.
Ty Simpson came in 5 for 9 for 73 yards and had a QBR of 21.5.
Was a little better. I said he was a little better.
He's a little better, but not
a little better.
Great. Right. Roydo Williams was their best rusher in the game with 129 yards on 17 carries. And then they had Jace McClellan, who was 74 yards on 13 carries. And then after that, it was just dealing with, I think Ty Buckner had 11 yards. And then they had Miller with 1 yard, and Ty Simpson must have taken a few sacks with minus 12 yards. So,
but I mean, a couple of those sacks that he took was not his fault at all. I mean, the offensive lineman just whiffed. I mean,
right.
Oh
yeah. They whiffed, and then they didn't even help him back up after he got sacked.
I mean, they were awful looking.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's.
I will say this: LSU looked impressive yesterday versus Mississippi State. So, out of right now, as far as the better teams in the SEC, of course, you got Georgia. They're still there. They're still, like you said, maybe not quite where they were, but they're still good enough to win a lot of these games, and they're going to be there. And then you've got LSU and you've got Ole Miss. And if I was putting, a top 3 teams together right now, that's what I would put together for the SEC,
at
as
of
right
moment,
now.
But I just don't think today. Yeah, I don't think that's going to hold up. But yes, I think at the moment, yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
all right, so let's get to we said we were going to talk about some of the games for next week. There is quite a few ranked versus ranked games opponents that are on the schedule. And if you want to talk about a few more after that, but I want to go through some of the ranked opponents games next week. We're going to start with number 6 Ohio State is at number 9 Notre Dame.
That one's really good. I do want to have one that is a one ranked and versus a non-ranked opponent in there. But let's go over this one first. But then we'll go. Let me interject the one that's not both teams ranked.
You can add a few. Okay, you can add a few at the end. Yeah. I just wanted to start out with ranked versus ranked game because there's quite a few of them next week, and they're pretty impressive list of games. So, like I said, the first one is Ohio State, number 6 versus Notre Dame at Notre Dame, number 9 next week. It's a top 10 matchup and one of the bigger matchups of the year so far. I think. You got, LSU, Florida State, and Alabama, Texas, and then this game, would be the three that I would kind of put up there so far. I'm looking forward to it. What do you think? How do you think, what's your initial thoughts on Ohio State at Notre Dame next week?
First, I think that's actually just an awesome game that I will be very much in tune with. But I really hope that this is a one that plays out as a good game instead of it being one-sided, because it could easily become a one-sided
kind of was
affair.
A good game last year.
Yeah, so I would like to see it and make it a good game. But I have my feelings on this, and I think that as much as Ohio State has shown that it can be vulnerable, but at the same time, when it gets to some of these games like this, they do step up and actually, have, an Ohio State like game. So I would like to see what Notre Dame can do in this game, because that is one that could go Notre Dame's way, but at the same way,
I've been kind of impressed by Notre Dame so far.
Feels like that it could still be the same old with Ohio State. So,
we'll see.
But I'm actually really excited to see that one.
The next one is a top 15 matchup, and that is number 15 Ole Miss at number 13 Alabama. We've already discussed that game a couple of times in the show. Let's see. Alabama leads that series 9-3 when both teams are ranked.
Nice. Yeah, and the other ones were probably the one off the helmet and the following year, as far as the two losses that they had against Ole Miss. Probably when both of them were ranked.
Yeah, so, this is when both teams were ranked. Alabama's 9-3. Then we have Pac-12 matchup. We have number 22 UCLA at number 11 Utah. And this is the second meeting between these two teams where both teams were ranked.
That one's going to be a really good game because you have a smash mouth type team versus a team that likes to spread it out and run. So I'd like to see how that one fares out. That's going to be one that is Fox 2:30, so it will be going on at the same time as the Bama game.
The Bama Ole Miss game. Okay, cool. And we got some other Pac-12 matchups because there's 8 ranked teams. So we got number 19 Colorado at number 10 Oregon. I think this is going to be a great matchup between these two teams. It is the first regular season meeting between these teams when they are both ranked.
Wow. And that is going to be also at 2:30. Again, this one will be the ABC game at 2:30. So there will be at minimum 3 games at 2:30 that are going to be must-see TV. So
that's cool. I mean, all 3 of those games are great games to watch.
Hold on, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, because you've got like I said, you've got the Utah, UCLA, you've got the Colorado, Oregon, and we've got the Ole Miss, Bama game.
Ole Miss and
all 3
Alabama.
of those. Yep, all three of those are really good 2:30 games, 2:30 kickoffs.
Yeah, there's one more. There's one more Pac-12 matchup that's top 25, and that is number 14. Oregon State is at number 21 Washington State next week. Both of these teams are the left behinds of the Pac-12. They have played 98 times before, but never when both teams were ranked. That's a pretty good stat right there.
That is crazy. Well, it's because they're rarely both ranked, so that makes sense.
They've played
And
98 times and never.
This is
where
the
both
only
teams are
Pac-12
ranked.
game that's actually being played tomorrow. Is just this game. That's it.
Yeah,
that is Fox 6 o'clock, so that will follow the Utah UCLA game. So,
okay,
Fox.
All right, and then the last one is a Big Ten matchup. We have number 24 Iowa at number 7 Penn State. 3 of the last 4 meetings have come when both were ranked.
You said
number 24 Iowa at number 7 Penn State.
Number 24 Iowa at Penn State. I'm wondering if is this the 11 o'clock?
Nope. I haven't looked at the times. You've been saying I'm not sure what times these are. I was just looking at the list.
That's what. Yeah, I was just looking to see if I could find it. Nope, it is not. It is CBS 6:30, so it is following the Alabama Ole Miss game. So
okay,
that is you said 24 Iowa.
Those number 24 Iowa at number 7 Penn State. So next week there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matchups where we have ranked versus ranked teams next week. This last week in week 2, there was only 2 matchups, Texas and Alabama and Ole Miss and Tulane, where it was ranked versus ranked. And there's 6 in 1 week in week 4. So that's just the ranked matchups. So, John, if you want to throw in a couple or, a few other quality matchups.
Oh, yeah, quality matchups. So when we kick off the day at 11 a.m., the Florida State at Clemson, number 4 Florida State. At
definitely
Clemson.
Quality right there. Yeah,
that is a quality
Clemson
game.
Is now unranked, and that's the only reason why that's not a ranked game. Yeah,
right. 11 a.m. on I believe that's ABC. Yep. So this is what you could kick your day off with. And then let's see, the big noon kickoff is Oklahoma at Cincinnati. I'm not sure that would be one to really pay attention. I mean, it was until this past week. Yeah. And then
it could be.
It could be. And then I thought I had another one later in the day. I mean, look, Arkansas and LSU. I mean, you would think that LSU, but that is a rivalry game. So that one on ESPN at 6 p.m. is also one that's worth watching or worth noting, just because you've got those two teams going against each other. Again, it is a rivalry game, so that game could go and be worth watching. North Carolina at Pitt, and I'm only saying this.
It hasn't looked great the last 2 weeks, but
correct. But this is at Pitt. Pitt has a tendency to pull off one of these really stupid miracle games, and North Carolina also has a tendency to lose a stupid game. And this could be the stupid game that each of them have in their season, where Pitt wins and North Carolina loses. So just kind of keep that one. Yeah. You may not necessarily have that on your main TV, but keep an eye on the score. And if the score gets close, you might want to tune in and see what kind of stupidity is going on in that game, because that would be one that would be really worth watching if it gets to be really good. Otherwise, it could be a blowout, and we really won't pay much attention to it. So as far as that, and then with Tennessee being the way that they have been, they are hosting UTSA, and I might keep an eye on that one as well.
Yeah, it's a game
is
to at least watch the first half score and see how the game's going. Yeah.
Yes, it's one to pay attention early and see what happens.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you can move on. So,
right.
But that is one that I would at least kind of keep an eye on early. The other one, which is not the two teams are not ranked, but Auburn and Texas A&M. You can kind of figure out if these teams are worth a dang at this point, because Texas A&M, Texas A&M
is
could be good,
their
but they also got
way better.
They also got blown out by where they got beat by 2 scores.
Their offense is better. That's for sure.
That is true.
And I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure about the defense and
why they can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I'm just not.
They got all the 5 stars on defense, and they just can't figure it out. But that's an 11 a.m. game too to maybe keep an eye on.
Well, I mean, if you're a Kentucky fan, Kentucky and Vandy play next week. We open. It's not a big game. Nobody's going to pay attention to it. I understand, but
it should be a blowout.
And it should be. So if you're a Kentucky fan, but that's not. I'll pay attention to that. It's a noon kickoff game. So I'll pay attention to that. But anyways, there is a whole slate of really, really, really good football. This might be the best slate of games that we've had so far.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
I think it is
by far.
Yeah,
by far. The amount of games. The problem is that you got 3 of them at the same time. I would have put one of them at 11 as the Fox. The Fox big noon kickoff. But the problem is that 2 of those were West Coast
3
games.
3 of the 6 are at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, and which that's the issue is that the 2 West Coast games are the ones that are playing at 2:30, along with the SEC CBS 2:30, which that's CBS gets the first pick and they pick that game. So I would have tried to figure out that the 2 games, the locations of those 2 2:30 games are all the way in the West Coast. Well, one's Utah, but still, I mean, you're asking them to kick off at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. If you wanted to have the big noon kickoff, it'd be 9 a.m. local time. So,
and that's probably why they didn't do it. Yeah.
Right. Well, it is why they didn't do it. It's just Or you could drop one of those to the night game. Make one of those the Pac-12 after dark, but then again, it'd be after dark. It'd be 9 p.m., 10 p.m. on the East Coast.
On the East Coast,
so that it wouldn't be seen by anybody because it'd be 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So, which is again the reason why they put it in that 2:30 slate, which stinks because you have 3 really good games.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I just wanted to, talk about the slate of games. It's very exciting. Week 4, it's going to be a great week of football. Looking forward to it here at College SportsCast. I'm looking forward to it as a fan. I know John's going to be having his 4 screens up and have all the games going each time slot and be watching the games. And we'll all be paying attention next week at some of these big games that's on. And 3 of the 6 are Pac-12 games. Just so y'all know, 3 of the 6 are Pac-12 games next week. We got 1 SEC matchup and Ohio State, Notre Dame, and then 1 Big Ten matchup.
Yep.
So, and then we have an ACC matchup that I think is going to rank up there too, and that's Florida State, Clemson.
Yep.
Clemson's just not ranked right now, but if they was to win this game, they will be ranked next Sunday because it's at Clemson.
Yes.
Yes, it's at Clemson. So our next show, guys, is going to be Tuesday night. We're going to do our Big Fuss show. I don't have the time right. I didn't change it. That was for today. The time is at 8 p.m., not 3 p.m. on Tuesday. I apologize. I don't have that changed. I thought I changed everything, but I didn't change the time. It says next show, Tuesday, September 19th it's 8 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to be doing our College SportsCast, the Big Fuss Show. If you watch this week, Just like today, again, it's one of these topics. Me and John had a little fuss back and forth on a couple of topics last week. And that's what it's for. We're going to have a little fun and debate some topics and maybe even agree to disagree on things. So that's what it's for. Again, join us Tuesday night for the Big Fuss Show. I'm not sure if John's going to be on with us this week, but we'll try to get 3 people on so we can kind of go back and forth and have a good show with you guys and give y'all a little bit of the fuss on debates on some of these hot topics and some of this stuff. We might even revisit the one we talked about earlier today. We might even revisit that one because I could see that one's a little hot debate to talk about already. So we'll have a little fun with it. Again, guys, the Fanboys, our sponsors with the Fanboys are Pepsi. He is wearing Pepsi there. Our sponsors with the Fanboys is Pepsi. And we also have True Victory. And you can go there. It's a veteran-owned sportswear. Want to talk about that real quick? You can go there, use our code TheFanboys for a 15% discount. Such players as Paul Skeens is one of their ambassadors and has his own signature series. And you can check out all of his stuff. It's got Pirate stuff now and LSU stuff on his signature series, and you can check that out. And then go to Greenville Sports Media or thefanboys.com and check out our Amazon links there, and you can shop there and you can help support the Fanboys and College Sportscast. All right. That's going to wrap up our show, guys. I'm looking forward to week 4, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. I know Auburn and Texas A&M is going to be one you're definitely going to be paying attention to, but you got all these other games, and I know you'll have your 4 TV screen going and watching them all. So
do it again.
All right. Yep. All right, man. We will see you guys on Tuesday night for the Big Fuss Show.